Hello and welcome to this Forge TV online training video. This is a basic introduction to the DSLRs you'll be using for most of your filming with us to get you familiar with some of the controls and features. So without further ado, this is a DSLR. It stands for Digital Single Lens Reflex. These cameras were originally used for still photographs only, but modern DSLRs can make very good videos as well. Lots of TV shows and movies have been filmed entirely with cameras just like this one. This one is a Canon 550D. Let's take a look there. You can see the model on the side. Forge has a few different models of these, but they all have fairly similar features and they look fairly similar. We also have a 600D, which has a screen that can flip out and rotate. That might be useful if you're filming below eye level or in tight spaces. And we also have a 700D. That one has a touch screen so that you can focus by tapping the screen like a smartphone. You'll notice that the lens detaches, like so. We have a few different lenses, but you'll generally be using this one, which does a good job in nearly all situations. The lens has two basic controls, a focus ring at the front and a zoom ring. The lens also has a switch which lets you choose whether you want to focus automatically or manually. If you want to focus manually, make sure that you flick the switch to manual first. Otherwise you can damage the lens. Before you film, the first thing you'll want to do is make sure that your battery is fully charged. The camera has a little battery indicator. You'll want to make sure that this is full or nearly full. You'll also want to check the size and speed of your memory card. Forge has a ton of memory cards in different sizes, ranging from 2GB all the way up to 64GB. It's always a good idea to use the biggest card that you can, just in case you need to film more footage than you originally thought. The memory card's stored in here. We can see that this one is a 4GB card, which would let me record for about 10 minutes. A 2GB card, maybe 5 minutes, 32GB up to an hour. Memory cards also have something called a class, which tells you how fast the camera can write footage to the memory card. 10 is best, but as we can see this card is a class 4, which is fairly slow. But if I'm recording for a short amount of time, I might not necessarily notice that. You'll also want to reformat the card before you use it. You do this by going to Menu, scrolling along to Format, hitting Set. We can see here that this card is currently empty, but if there was footage on this card, we could use Format to clear all that footage off really quickly. And we would do that by hitting Set again. The camera would clear all the footage off the card, and voila, we have an empty card ready to film. It's the responsibility of the last person who used the camera to clear their footage off the memory card, so don't be afraid of deleting anyone's stuff. Now you should be ready to shoot. To film, you'll first want to turn on the camera, obviously, which is done using this top button here. You'll also want to make sure that you're in movie mode, which is done by flipping this top dial along to the little movie camera icon. And now we're in movie mode. In most situations, you'll probably also want to be in automatic exposure mode. In this mode, the camera will detect how much light is coming in through the lens and adjust its settings accordingly so that you don't end up with footage that's either too bright or too dark. You can check that you're in automatic exposure mode by going to the menu, scrolling along to movie exposure. We can see here that we're already in auto mode, which is good. If we were in manual, we'd flip back up to auto here, unless you specifically want to use manual mode for some reason. You start filming by hitting this button, and now we're filming. You stop filming by hitting the same button. Simple, right? Most people will be familiar with camcorders that automatically focus as you film, but DSLRs don't do that. You need to check that you're in focus before you start filming. Most people will do that by twiddling the focus ring and using the screen to check that they're in focus before they start filming. But this is a fairly small screen and it's easy to think that something's in focus and then get the footage into the computer later and find out that it's actually out of focus. So a better way is to flip to autofocus, and you use a light tap on this button here to focus on whatever's in that white square. And there we go. You can change the position of the square with these arrow keys here, and you'll be in focus every time unless your subject moves while you're filming. It's always a bad idea to zoom while recording. It discombobulates your viewer and makes for a fairly disorienting and unprofessional looking video, so always avoid it unless you desperately have to. Never hold the camera in your hands like I'm doing here either. Always use either a proper tripod or a handheld stabiliser rig. DSLRs have a recording limit of about 10 minutes. If you're starting and stopping the camera regularly, this probably won't matter to you, but if you're filming an event or a long interview, keep a close eye on your camera so that you can quickly start it recording if it automatically stops. When you're done filming, you'll want to download your footage to the computers as soon as possible. If you used more than one memory card, make sure that you download the footage off all the memory cards that you used, and then return them to the tub. You'll also want to take out your battery and put it on charge for the next person to use. And there you go. Hopefully you'll now be able to shoot some properly exposed, stable footage with a DSLR. If you want to know more about the specifics of filming, like what to do on a film shoot, what microphones to use, or how to edit your footage or use lighting, take a look at our other videos. Thanks!